Sub 60, baby. We did it. Sydney Hyrox. And that infamous sub 60 has fallen. I will talk about that a bit later on. But first, I wanted to just recap the week. It is freezing in Melbourne. I did a session this morning, my first session with a little bit of intensity in the shed. And oh boy, I cannot wait to set up my gym in the other space that I've got because it's a little more indoors vibes and there's a heater. So I'm excited for that because it was 1 degree and I was freezing. I did my whole session with a long sleeve on, and then I took my shirt off just to film some content because, that's what it's like. So I cannot wait to set that up. I'm going to order a sled track today straight from China. For anyone who is interested, I am and if you don't know this about me, I like to try and find things on Alibaba cheaper than you can get them in Australia. And I've been doing a bit of research. There are certain things I like to buy, certain things I don't like to buy. I got my sauna from there. And I paid $9,000 for a 6-person barrel sauna and an ice bath, whereas it was going to cost me $9,000 just for the sauna in Australia. So I can bargain hunt. Treadmill as well, I got from Alibaba, and it's been fantastic. And I'm going to get a sled track. Supposedly, it's very similar to the Hyrox sled track, but I will tell you guys if that's actually the case when it comes, which will be a month away or so. But I'm going to get that for the new space, have it indoors. Going to have a heater on in the morning. It's going to be real nice instead of having to go and train in 1 degree weather. Do not like it at all. But basically, Sydney Hyrox was wild. I feel like I've been in a complete whirlwind since coming back from Stockholm. You guys would have listened to my recap of Stockholm, hopefully. If you haven't, go back and listen to it. Obviously was here for a few days and then flew up to Sydney. Was lucky enough to do a seminar with Anytime Fitness in Chatswood East, I think. And it was really cool to get up there and just talk about Hyrox. I realized I need structure, hence always trying to have a run sheet for these episodes, because otherwise I just get carried away talking and I just talk too much sometimes and go down different rabbit holes. But the guys that came to that were fantastic. They asked a bunch of questions, and when the audience engages, it just makes it so much easier to chat because you're I can see what you guys want. Majority of the content that we covered was double stuff because a lot of them were racing doubles. So I think it helps when the audience engages because you know exactly what to kind of give them. Whereas if I get up there and just give you a spiel, some of it might hit, but most of it might not. So it was really fun to do. Did that on the Monday, and then Amy and I just did some looking around on the Tuesday, and then Wednesday was day one. We went and watched a few people, I think, and then we watched people on Thursday, and then Friday morning, and then I raced Friday night. It was cool. I'm not going to talk about the actual race itself yet, though, I promise. I'll get there. So maybe I'll talk about how I went into the race with my mindset, and then I'll kind of unpack the race as it unfolded, and I'll give you guys a bit of a play-by-play for how it felt and how it went. But basically, the primer that I did on Wednesday felt fucking great. I actually did a primer before I left home on Monday because we flew up Monday afternoon, and that felt really good. And then I did another primer, my minute run, minute movement primer, and that felt fantastic on the Wednesday. And I was like, shit, I feel good. And I was getting a bit scared to admit that because having the races that I've had probably since Brisbane last year. Brisbane last year I did a 101. Since then, my times have just gone backwards, or they've all been around the 102 to 104, apparently, 5 almost space, which has kind of sucked because I had almost tasted the glory of going sub 60. And then I feel I fell way back. Even the time at Stockholm, the race itself was really good and I felt the fitness and the training was working. The time was a little bit disheartening because I knew I was better than that. I knew I was quicker than that, but I felt quicker than that. The time just didn't reflect it, which I think is a lesson to take out of it, right? The time of your race result in a Hyrox doesn't always reflect how fit you are. Sometimes the time just isn't there. That's okay, right? As long as everything else is trending positive, if you're getting fitter and you don't feel like you're burning out and the training is showing results, then things are moving in the right direction. You've just got to stick at it and it will pay off. It just means that that race probably wasn't the best condition for you. Maybe you showed up and you weren't 100% for whatever reason, or the course just wasn't favorable for you in that moment. That's okay. Just keep showing up. And if your training is working, you will get the result you want. Full stop. So I hadn't had the results I wanted leading up to it. But so I was scared to admit that I felt good, because I felt good for other races, right? I felt good for Stockholm, and I did a 104.41. So I was like, fuck, I'm afraid to admit how good I feel, but I feel fucking great. Anyway, long story short is day of, went and did my warm up run primer in the morning, and so one of my drawbacks is my cadence and my running. When I get a bit tired, I feel like my cadence drops, which makes my running exponentially harder, and I kind of get more tired from it. So one of my focuses going into this race was to try and keep my cadence up throughout the entire race. It was my only focus with the runs, was just pick the cadence up. So when I did my primer, I did some efforts where I ran at my normal cadence, and then I did some efforts where I ran at a super high cadence. And that felt really good. And then just fast forward to the race. Getting there was the most stressful thing in the world. We left quite late because I don't like getting there too early, but I didn't account for the fact that there was going to be a bunch of traffic in Sydney, and we were coming from about 30 minutes away, which ended up being 50 minutes away. So I ended up getting there like 45 minutes before my actual race, which isn't that big a deal. Like, thankfully, registration, there wasn't a line, so I flew through that, registered, and then went out and did my run warm-up. Typically before I warm up for a race, I do a run warm-up, and then I just hit a couple of ski efforts, because by the time you get beyond the ski, you're already warm, as well as doing a bunch of like mobility stuff, because I want to make sure my body is moving in the ranges that I need it to. One of the biggest things that I've started doing lately is like knee to walls, basically, to try and lengthen my calf and my Achilles and stretch that out before the race, because that's where I get most of my squat mobility from, is my ankles. My hips are, going to be as flexible and as opened up as they can be from the running, but I try and really lengthen through or increase my ankle mobility before going out there, so that when I can hit those wall balls, I know that I'm actually going to be able to hit depth. So that's one thing I do. Otherwise, it's just a run warm up and some ski efforts. Got in the start tent and hit the first run. Pretty comfortable, right? I never go out super hot on that first run. Got to the ski and I noticed that my pace was sitting higher than it normally is. So I intentionally pulled it back. I looked down and it was at like a 142, 143, which is good. I can do that, but that's not smart. So I pulled back to like a 147 and held around that mark for the rest of it. Came out of the ski feeling good. I think I was in the top 15. Maybe I'll look at the little ranking thing, right, on RoxFit and actually give you a talk through the play-by-play so you can actually be in there with me. But came out of the ski in good stead. Now, the run off the ski was good. I didn't push exceptionally hard. I just focused on a cadence and tried to stay in control. My goal was to try and not push my heart rate too high. So I think I came out of the ski 30th. Not in my wave, but I think 30th overall. And then into the sled push, I was sitting 34th. So I lost some spots on that run, but that's part of the plan, right? I don't want to go out crazy hot and burn myself in that first portion of the race. I know I can get through run, ski, run pretty well without causing too much damage. Now, when I got to the sleds, one of my things coming off the back of Stockholm was I wanted to push the sleds a little harder, being push the push and pull the pull faster, because I was a bit disappointed with my times over there and I know I can do better, and there's something that I'm typically strong in and I just didn't capitalize that while I was in Stockholm. So that was one of the things that I decided to try and push a little bit harder. So I came into the sled push and it moved well. So I kind of went for it. I came out in 16th place, and that seems to be where I kind of stuck around for the rest of the race. I pushed it in 2:10, so it was actually 9th overall. My ski was a 3:49, so 12th overall for that one. The run off the sled push was still, pretty controlled. It was actually quicker than the second run, I think. But I was still in control with that one. And then I came into the pull and I knew I wanted to try and get a fast pull as well, because I think I pulled a 4 minutes in Stockholm, which I was a bit disappointed in. And I came in and did it in 3:01, which puts me third in terms of time for that one. So strong push, strong pull, and then off the pull, I ran well. I knew I was coming into the burpees. I think I had a gel, which I never normally do, to be honest. I usually wait till after the burpees, but for some reason I decided to just smash a gel then. I had it through the course of the lap. So I think I had a little bit coming out of the rock zone. I had a little bit, halfway through, and then I had a little bit towards that back end, and I threw it out coming into the burpees. And my plan for the burpees was to do exactly what I did in Stockholm, push them and back myself to run all right off them. Because in Stockholm, I think I only ran 5-10 seconds slower than the one before, but I picked up, 90 seconds on the burpees. So I did exactly that. I came through, blasted the burpees, and I did them in 2 minutes 40, which puts me 12th overall for the burpee, which is crazy for me, being someone who has managed to burpee like 3 minutes 40, 4 minutes for the last 3 or 4 solo races. To come out and do a 2:39 burpee is insane. But it felt really strong. Like I came in and I hit a full length. It was 4 20-meter lengths. I hit a full length and then I hit 2/3, and then I lay on the floor for like 5 or 10 seconds. And then I hit the rest, hit the first part of the next one, and then lay on the floor, hit the rest of that. And then that last length, I took a few breaks, but I knew I was already on track. I think I got to the last length in 2 minutes. So I had one length to go and I knew I was going to get that in, 30, 40 seconds. So I kind of took a few breaks and then came off and got straight into the run and focused purely on my cadence. And that run was only like 2 seconds slower than the one before. So 3:37 was the one going into the burpees. 3:39 was the run coming out of the burpees, which was fantastic. And this is the point where I realized I was on for a good time. I came into the row and I started rowing, and I was rowing 150, which is what I like to kind of sit at. And I know that's a strong row. At Worlds, I was struggling to hold that. I think I was rowing like at 155 or 152, around that mark, having bumbled the rower handle and stuff at the beginning. So I knew I was sitting in good stead. I got into the rower cleanly and started rowing at a 150 pace. And then I heard Benny Smith, my doubles partner, he was like, mate, you're on. And I was like, fuck. Like, I didn't even really think of that. I don't check the time. I don't check my cumulative time at all. I have it on a different screen until I get to around the lunges, because I don't like it to impact my race too much. But so him saying that, I was like, fuck, okay. Like, everything feels really good. Everything feels like I'm on the right track. I just felt like I was in that flow state. I felt like I was in the zone and things were just happening. So I tried to stay in that and not think about the end result. I was like, cool, we're on for a good time here. Let's just keep doing what I'm doing. Don't change anything. Come into the movements, push them hard, get out and just control the runs, or stay like confident on the runs. Came off the row, ran all right. I think that was probably one of my better runs. Into the farmer's carry, tried to get through that quicker, because in Stockholm, I think I did a 144 or something, which is really slow for me. Typically, I'm in the 130s, which I did. I got like a 137. The run off the farmer's carry, interestingly enough, was probably one of my slower runs, which it was 341 for the lap was my slowest run, but not by much, by a couple of seconds. I think I was just tired by that point, and the dread of the lunges was stressing me out, to be honest, because I knew that I was on for a good time and I knew the lunges were going to hurt. And my plan for the lunges, again, which you'll probably figure out, was to push harder. I've got a strong wall ball. I know I've got a really strong wall ball going into them, so I can afford to push the lunges harder, was the play I was going with. And I went in and I lunged a 310. I think I did a 340 in Stockholm. So significant improvement there. It put me top 20 for the sandbag lunges, which I was happy with. Coming off the sandbag lunges, the run was long, which sucked because your legs are already cooked, and then you've got to run like 1.2, 1.3 Ks, and that hurts. It took me like 5 minutes, 5 minutes and 6 seconds, and this was where I realized that I was going to probably go under an hour if I could finish strong. So I knew basically running into the wall balls, I ran in at, I think, it was like 55, 57. So basically 56 minutes, right, coming into the wall balls. And I was like, holy fuck. I know I have like 4 minutes basically to get this under an hour, which means you got to go unbroken unless I take a quick break. Like the only way I could guarantee coming under an hour was to go unbroken. Now, to give you more context, when I was running into the lunges, I was like, you can break the wall balls up into 4 sets of 25, just lunge hard. Coming off the lunges, I was like, you can break the wall balls up into 4 sets of 25, just run hard. Then I realized that I was going to have to go unbroken to get under an hour, and I was like, you can't break the wall balls up into 4 sets of 25. You can have one break maximum. Ideally, you'll go unbroken. So in the wall balls, I was like, just beat the guy next to me, which was Josh Clark. And he's wall balling real well. I was worried he wasn't going to break. And he broke at 55. And that for me was like, cool. All right, he's done. Let's just keep going. I got to 60 and I was like, cool, I feel all right. Let's just try and push it out to 70. And I got to 70 and I was like, let's get to 75 and see. And I got to 75 and I was like, all right, this is the point where I'm going to accept that I'm going unbroken and I'm not going to rest. And once I kind of accept that in my head during the wall balls, that is when things get better for me. I get faster, I get stronger because I accept that I'm going to fucking power through it instead of just being like, oh my God, when am I going to break? I'm like, no, we're fucking finishing this and then I'm going to rest across that line. So from 75 on, I just dug in and I just tried to get stronger and faster, and it was going real well until I got to about 88. And then my heart did this weird thing where it like spiked and I was like, oh fuck, am I going to pass out? And then thankfully I didn't. And then I like got through into the 90s and I could hear everyone cheering behind me, and I got to like 95. And then, I just hit that last one, saw the go, and just fucking hauled across the line. I didn't know what I was going to cross at. I knew it was under an hour, but in my head I was expecting like 59.50 something, not 59.32, which was, it kind of blew my mind, to be honest. And I'm shook, man. The support from all of you guys, everyone was crazy. Like I put up a post and the amount of comments in there is enough to make me cry. I couldn't believe it. And so many guys raced so well. There was this moment between me and Billy. He came running across the line. I fucking hugged him and it was like one of the best things ever. Then Josh Clark came through with a sub 60 as well. That was huge. It was just this awesome feeling of all of us ticking off these goals that we had trained and chased for so long, and it's happened. We all work so hard. We all put in so much time and effort for these things, and we finally did it. And it was this beautiful moment, which was really cool to like come back and reflect on what or how I think it happened. Right, I think the course was more favorable than Stockholm. It was cooler, right? And I think if you take anything out of this, I think this is probably a lesson. If you want to look at what courses are going to be quicker versus slower when it comes to Hyrox, you need to look at temperature, right? So Stockholm was really hot and that hurt a lot of people. Sydney wasn't as hot. It was in winter in Australia. The venue was set up really well. Like it wasn't in a stadium. It was in a convention center, which is set up to air condition. And I think just the time of the year too, right? In winter. So that there's not a whole lot of humidity, not a whole lot of heat in there. So it meant that you can push a whole lot harder. Sleds move a bit better. You can push a whole lot harder without causing as much damage. Whereas I look at Stockholm, I'm a bigger guy. So the heat impacts me a lot. Once I overheat, it is so hard for me to come back down. And I know that that's what I felt in Stockholm. I felt like I had a bag of in Sydney, I had a giant bag of capacity that I could just keep drawing from, and it was there. Every time I reached in the bag, there was more, and it was great. Whereas go to Stockholm, I had a little satchel, and I reached in and pulled it out, and I was like, fuck, I'm empty. Uh-oh. And that was it. So that was really cool. It was really cool to kind of feel the difference between the courses. And I think slow course, fast course is a real thing. And I think the temperature of the venue, the type of venue, and the temperature of the place you're in, like whether it's like Australia, you go East Asia, or like Bangkok and stuff like that, or you go Europe where it's a bit cooler in winter, I think that plays a huge part in the speed of the course. So if you're looking to race fast, maybe take that into consideration. If you're looking to win races, who cares? Because you're going to show up and you're going to race the other people that are there. So either way, I'm fucking stoked because that's the time that I know I'm capable of. And I've known that I'm capable of it for such a long time that it's been hard. It's been a hard journey, but I got it. I finally got it. And what has been the best thing for me, the best takeaway for me has been, honestly, like the fact that my training has worked because I've felt good in my training. I've taken the reins back and started coaching myself again, and to go from doing a 104 in Brisbane to a 59:30 in Sydney after taking back my own coaching is great, because for me that's just like I know what I'm doing and it has fucking worked. So I'm pumped and I'm so excited to get back into training because now I have things that I know I need to work on, which is what I want to talk about next, right? I'm going to dissect my race for you guys so you can see and hopefully learn how to dissect your own races because I think it's important. So when I sat down to look at my races or my race, I looked at my total times for my running, movements, rock zone, all that kind of stuff. Now, my movements, my functional, was 7th overall, which is really strong. And I think that comes from the fact that my game plan was to try and push the things I'm good at. So push the movements harder and have faith that my runs would be okay. And it worked out. But the polarization is 7th for functional. I was 25th for rock zone, which is good. I think I have a good ability to come off and get straight to my pace off the movements, but my running was 60th overall. So a bit of a drop in the running. I picked it up with the functional, but dropped off with the running. And I think the fact that my rock zone is up there says that I'm just a one pace guy. I'm a diesel engine, mate. I finish the movement and I get to my pace and I just stay at the same pace. Whereas I think a lot of guys are capable of coming out and they probably run a bit slower through the rock zone and then they pick up their pace more out on the course. Whereas I just come out, hit my pace and hold it for the whole thing. Where I can get improvement is building my running speed and getting faster. So my movements don't need much work. They're pretty good, right? As long as I keep getting fitter, my movements will probably get faster. But my running is where I need to improve. I need to get the ability to just run faster off things. And where's that going to come from? Probably improving my cadence, like I said before. I need to improve my slow run cadence or my tempo run cadence. I'm really good when I'm running at threshold, but as soon as I dip below threshold, my cadence falls off and I think it's inefficient. So if I can build that up, I'm going to be more efficient on the runs and save more energy, probably be able to run harder, or it's not going to impact me as much so I can movement harder, right? Next thing is just trying to improve my speed and keep building my threshold. Like, the training that I've been doing has worked, so I'm not going to change the fundamentals of that. I think I'm going to change a few things when it comes to my running and stuff like that, which I'll probably talk about in the next episode once I have an idea of what that's going to look like. But I think that is where I'm going to get the most. If I can pick my running up to match my movement strength, then I know I will go sub 60 for every race beyond this point because I'm there. I'm right there. Right, my movements are there. My running just needs to catch up, and it has been. That's been the thing that's probably most improved since Brisbane. My running and my fitness overall has improved, which has allowed me to push the movements and still run well. Now I just need to run a little faster, which is really cool. And another massive takeaway that I've had out of all of this is I'm going to use the analogy. The analogy that I've come up to describe this is a shark doesn't come out of water to eat you. It waits till you go into the ocean and then it attacks you. For me, I was the shark trying to come up on land and eat my food. I was trying to catch people on land and eat them. Whereas the race I did in Sydney, I stayed in the water. I did what I'm good at. I pushed what I'm good at, which is the movements. I am a strong skier. I'm strong on the sleds. I'm now apparently really strong on burpees too. And I pushed those things to where I know I can be. And I just had faith that the work I've been doing in my training or my running would help me run better. And it did. So I think if you take anything into your training, you need to train the things you're not good at. You need to work on your weaknesses in training. But when you get to the race, don't play your weak cards and try and play them better. Do the things you're good at. Do them well and fucking back yourself in those things. And then the stuff that you're not as good at, if you've been training it, it will be better. So it's okay. But don't try and make up time on the things you're not good at. Do that with the things you're good at. Because that's what makes you unique, right? If I had have gone out and tried to run hard, my movements probably would have been slower and my runs probably would have been the same, which puts me at a slower time. Whereas the fact I went out and attacked the things I'm good at meant that it put me in a really good position. And then I was in a good position to run well. And it just worked out. So yes, you need to train your weaknesses, but when it comes to a race, do not be afraid to push the things you're good at. It works. Trust me. It's a really good race strategy. You should do it. Oh man. On the burpees too, I can't believe it. The shift that has happened. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I was doing like close to 4-minute burpees for the last so many races. And now they're coming out at around 240, 250. I'm shocked. It's like it's to the point now where it's happened 2 races in a row. I'm racing Perth. If it happens again in Perth, I'm going to call it a card that I can play, because being a bigger guy, if you're not going to pick up time on me on the burpees, that limits your options of where you're going to pick up time on me in the race. Like if I'm trying to race someone, that's what I'm looking at, right? Where are you going to get time on me? If it's the running, cool, that's fine, which I'm trying to work on, and limit the time I give away on the runs. But if you can't burpee faster than me, odds are you're probably not going to sled faster than me. You're probably not going to erg faster than me. Wall balls are strong. Like that, if I look at my race as a whole, the burpees were the biggest leak, and I've kind of patched that to the point where it's a genuine card I can play, which is exciting because it means now all my attention gets diverted to the running, which is sick. Because, that's what I was kind of doing anyway. Just means I get to build my training program around it more. I'm going to quickly flick through my notes. Oh, let's talk about the rest of the races that I did in Sydney. Shit, I almost forgot about the other ones. Lol. That was on Friday, right? It was a surreal experience. I couldn't believe it. Went and had a feast afterwards and couldn't sleep at all because I ate so much food and my tummy was uncomfortable. Finally got to sleep and I woke up and I was like, fuck. And then I don't remember what I did Saturday morning. I did something though. I reckon we went in and watched people race maybe. I can't remember. I reckon we went to Bondi Saturday with Riley, which was fun. Anyway, Saturday night I raced again with Val. Huge, tall as like 6'8", maybe even taller. And going into that race, I knew he wanted to do a sub 60, right? And I was like, cool, I can do a sub 60. Like, I just did it solo. I'll be fine. And I was thinking in my head, like 58, 59 even, right? That's sub 60. I think his last race was like an hour and change, an hour and like some seconds. So the plan was I would start and finish pretty much most things, or I think he started the sleds and I finished them, and then I would start and finish most of the other things. We went into the race and I was like, this is fine. Like I was hurting. I was really sore from my solo and just tired. I didn't have a good sleep, didn't get to nap during the day. And it was like, I was stringing out, right? I was strung out. Went out and first run was strong, nice and controlled. I was like, cool. Then he was skiing like the same as me, if not faster. And I was like, God damn, man. Fuck. And then the run afterwards was strong again. Sleds, we kind of got through well. And then it started to dawn on me that the runs were actually kind of fast. And I was like, this feels a bit fucked. We came off the burpees and that one hurt me. I started and finished them. And I think I did a little more on the burpees. And I tried to send them because I'm now the burpee king. And it dawned on me that we were going really fast. I was like, this has to be well under 60 minutes because this is killing me. If this isn't like well under 60, then I'm absolutely cooked right now because I was getting dragged. Like I was getting dragged on the runs to the point where I'd let him get like 15 meters ahead of me and I'd be like, just keep running. I will catch up when I need to catch up. But for now, just let me relax back here because I can't do this. We ended up coming in at like 56 and 16 seconds, which is like the third fastest open doubles race I've done. It was bizarre. Like the guy just fucking smoked it. I got catfished is what I've been saying. I got fucking catfished. I didn't think I was signing up to get pushed that hard, but we did it. And it was like really cool. It was so much fun. I love like just being a part of shit like that where people get to PB. It means so much to me. So that was really cool to do that on the Saturday. And then Sunday I was racing with Ames, which I was really excited for. She hasn't raced since Sydney last year. So it's been 12 months since her last Hyrox race. And we haven't raced doubles in like 2 years. We did one in Singapore in 2024, I think it was. So like almost 2 years. So I was really excited. She was a bit nervous. She was very nervous. And I was like, it's cool. Like, just come out. We'll just go and see what happens, right? Just look for consistent runs and, I'll take the burden of most of the movements. And I think most of it was a 70-30 split. I think the wall balls ended up being like 80-20. Lunges were probably close to like 80-20 as well because just the back end of the race, right? But, mate, her runs were so consistent. Or they were pretty much the same speed. She averaged 5:30s, which was fantastic. She thought she was going to be running 6:30s. Movements were great. Managed to get all the way through, and we came in at an hour and we're saying sub 70 and 4. So an hour and 10 minutes and 3 seconds, which was crazy. It was such a fun experience, and I hope it inspires her to continue running and keep pushing herself in that respect because she's got it. I think it's just the confidence side of things, which we all struggle with. You need to kind of see proof to ignite that confidence. And I hope that race was the proof. I look at my solo and that to me was the proof that my training's working and the proof that I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to keep doing it even harder. So I hope that race did that for her. If not, it was still really fun. And I hope we get to do one in Melbourne together as well. We got footage of it and photos and stuff, which was cool. I love race content, man. It's the best. It's my favorite stuff. I got a bunch of content from my races too that you'll probably see me trickle out over the Instagrams. I'm trying to see the honest cave. I don't know. I got Claude to write me some notes for this episode, but most of them are bullshit this time, so I'm not going to listen to them. What else was there from that? I ran into one of my. This is a crazy story. So, leaving Sydney on the Monday, looking around for a spot to sit. I had so much shit in my bag because my suitcase was over the limit, which was really annoying. But a classic move by me. I always do it. So my backpack was loaded, and I just wanted a spot to sit and just chill before our flight because we ended up getting there 2 hours early because we were out of our accommodation, and I was like, I'm not carrying this fucking bag around all day. So got to the airport, found a spot, sat down. I was next to this lady, and I was just sitting there listening to voice memos, and I was going to do a bit of replying to people. Anyway, this guy comes back, opens his laptop, sits there, starts tapping away, looks up, and he's like, Anthony? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, guess. And I was like, fuck. Dude, I have no idea. And he was like, Jock, which is one of my clients. I've been coaching him. He's from Florida. Used to live in Australia, but moved to America. And now he lives there in Florida. And I've been coaching him for a year, but I just haven't seen what he looks like in person. I've never met him in person. I've seen him online, but I've never actually met him in real life. And he was sitting there across from me at the airport, in Sydney Airport. He was in town for a week to visit his parents, and that is it. Then he was going back home. So it was just baffled me. All the things that had to line up for that to happen were crazy. Think about it. Think about all the the fact that we flew with Qantas, the fact that we got to the airport that early, the fact that I wanted a seat and picked a cushy one, the fact that he was there visiting his parents at that exact time and they were getting that exact flight out of Sydney, like it just blew my mind, dude. I couldn't believe it. So that was pretty wild. It's pretty bizarre. Pretty crazy just to say the same thing 3 times. But yeah, that's kind of it from the race and the weekend as a whole. I think my goals, or like what's next, or where I'm going to next, is probably I'm doing Perth. As I said, the next phase of my training, I think I've got 5 weeks, is going to be focused on my running. One of the big things I'm going to work on is my hip durability, or like endurance. So I'm going to do a lot more single pace tempo efforts, which is going to be the headliner of my Wednesday sessions, starting at 20 minutes, and I'm going to try and build it out to 40 minutes before increasing the pace of that. Because I think if I can drag my tempo efforts, so my like zone 3 efforts up to be closer to my threshold, or like even closer, because at the moment my threshold is like 3:45, and I think my tempo stuff is probably like a 4:15. If I can get the tempo stuff closer to a 4-minute pace, hopefully the threshold will be faster, but it'll just make everything better, right? It's just going to give my body the efficiency to run a bit better when it's at that slightly slower pace, which is kind of what happens when I get tired in a race. One of the big reasons is my hip gets sore after running for an extended period of time at a pace where I'm inefficient. So I want to try and increase that. So I think that basically what I'm hoping to get out of this is my hip's not going to get sore if I run for more than 30 minutes at a continuous pace, and I'm going to be more efficient when I slow down and I'm not running at threshold. Because at the moment, threshold, I feel great. Just below it, I don't feel as good. And then if I run slow, I feel horrible. So I'm going to try and make the slow runs and the tempo runs, my body more efficient by increasing my cadence and getting basically better mechanics at those paces. If that makes sense. If it didn't, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to wait and see what happens. What else has been going on? I finished reading Project Hail Mary, and what I realized was I'm a bit of a nerd. If you don't know this about me, I studied physics when I was in high school. Didn't do great at it, but I liked the idea of it. I just kind of struggled actioning it because I was distracted, right? I didn't really give a shit. But I'm still interested by the physics side of things. So in the book Project Hail Mary, they go into a lot of the physics of like astronomy and microbiology and all that kind of stuff. And I just loved it. So I think that is the niche I'm going to go down when it comes to reading, like stuff that's a bit sciencey and like factual, because I like factual, but also a bit of a stretch when it comes to, I don't know what it's called, but like space and that kind of stuff. I love it. It's the best. And I actually had a theory. So if you're not familiar with special relativity or time dilation, when you travel close to the speed of light, you experience time differently to everywhere else, right? So if I was to travel somewhere from Earth, just say it was like 13 light years away or something, and I was traveling at the speed of light, I think on Earth you experience 13 years, but while you're traveling, it's far less. You could, depending how fast you're going, it could be like, 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, which is crazy, right? Like if you think about it, the faster you go, the less time you actually experience. So I linked it to my running, and I was like, slow runs feel like they take forever. My tempo and my threshold efforts and my faster runs feel like they go like that. They go through real quick. It must be time dilation. So I asked chat, and it's not. It's just like a mental version of it. But I thought that was cool, and I just love science, basically, is where I was going with that. I want to highlight, like I usually pick a sponsor to highlight, one of my many sponsors, and the guys that I'm highlighting this time are Maple Movement. They are just the best. Best people and the most supportive guys you could ever imagine. I really only use their gels. I don't use gels all the time in my training. I'm not someone who has them every day, but when I do, I use Maple Movement gels, and they're the best. I have no issues. They taste great, and they go down a treat, right? And I find they're not too like intense with carbs. I think it's like 30 grams of carbs per sachet, which is fantastic. Whereas you get gels that have like 40, 50, mate, sometimes that is just too much to ingest. And then you're sitting there like, fuck, you just feel like shit. So I love Maple Movement. If you want a discount, Anth will get you 10% off. They're fantastic. They are going to be at all the Hyrox races. You'll be able to get gels there. If you want to try some, let me know, and I might be able to organize a little bit of a sample for you. If you see me in person, that will probably be easier. I'm probably not going to ship them out to you because shipping is expensive, you know. But yeah, moving on to some listener questions that are actually AI generated again, because I forgot to put out a question box in time, but that's okay. It's all good. We'll see. If I've touched on this, then I will not answer the question. But how do you know when to push a station versus protect it? Okay, cool. So for me, this ties into what I was talking about before really well. Whether you push a station versus protect it probably determines is dependent on how strong you are at it. If it's something that you really struggle with, then you're probably better off kind of pulling back and trying to protect it a little, because if you push too hard, you might be inefficient at it and you might be expelling a whole lot more energy. Whereas if you're kind of meticulous in working your way through it, it's probably going to serve you better. But at the same time, like for me, if I look at the sled push, I could have gone unbroken on that sled push in Sydney, at least for the first few lengths, but I didn't. I held back because I know the damage it can cause. So I think that's part of it too. If the station can cause a whole lot of damage, if you push it, then you're probably better off protecting it slightly. I still think you should push it, but protect it slightly, because I could have gone unbroken on the sled, but I didn't because I knew it would kill me. Same as the ski. I could have skied way harder, but I didn't. I kind of protected it. So I think there's a fine line between pushing and protecting. I think if it's a movement that you know is exceptionally hard for you and it can drastically impact the rest of the race and the rest of whatever you've got going on, pull back a bit. But if you know you're confident in kind of getting through it strong, as opposed to sprinting through it, then I would opt for strong as opposed to pulling back. Like if you look at my race, I went through everything strong. I tried to push as much as I could realistically without blowing myself up, and it paid off massively. So I think, yeah, it depends, which is usually the answer for everything when it comes to fitness related stuff. Were you scared it wouldn't work? Yes, I was very scared that it wouldn't work and that I would come out with a time slower than I did in Stockholm. Part of me believed that it was possible, but that part of me has always believed that I could go sub 60. And then I go out and race and sometimes it's not even close. So it was scary, and so I was so scared to tell people that I felt good, because I was like, what if I tell everyone I feel really good and I go out and I just put up a 105 or something? Like, I was really scared. But I think that's all part of it. Everyone's scared. It's just relevant to where you're at, right? Like, I'm sure there were so many people out there scared that they weren't going to finish their first Hyrox, and then they did. So I think fear is just part of this whole racing and training experience. So it needs to be embraced, but also not let it control you. Would this approach work for someone slower or newer? Honestly, if you're, slower, I'm going to ignore that part of the question. Claude, that's very shit of you. But newer, yes, definitely don't try and push stuff you don't really know that you're good at. Like, I think this is my 15th solo race. I know how the race feels. I've tried a bunch of different things. I've done a lot of different races. And for me, I've been able to slowly connect the dots that my running stays the same off the movement, regardless of how hard I push. So I may as well push a bit harder. Whereas if this is your first race, you don't really know, or like your first few races, you don't really know where you're at and where you can push versus where you can't push. So I would be a little cautious, try some things, but don't try everything at once. Pick one thing to try. So maybe your next race, go out and be like, I'm going to push the movements harder. You know, might work, might not work. The race after that, go out, try and push the runs a bit harder. Maybe you only push a few movements. You don't push all of them, So try a few different things as you kind of go through it, but don't try everything at once, because then you're not going to get any real data from it. Another caveat to that is you're going to have to use another metric to track most of these things, because time isn't always reliable, unless I guess time is reliable for every movement except for the sleds, probably, because the sleds are going to be impacted by the heat and the humidity. But everything else, all the movements are pretty trackable via time. And running, yes and no. Running depends on the course as well. So that's part that goes into it too, I suppose. What's changed most about your training since you went solo, or since I took over my own training? Honestly, just paying more attention to my hip instability and trying to fix that. That has been the biggest change I've made, and focusing more on my running. Those two things have been what has led me to where I am right now. My training is well balanced too. I do get plenty of rest throughout the week, which allows me to actually adapt to my training. And I've noticed that this week, coming out of the race, I'm far more meticulous than I have been in the past in making sure I'm recovering and getting back to where I need to be. Another element of it is nutrition, right? I've taken massive steps in making sure I'm actually fueling properly and getting in the right amount of food, as well as training properly as well. I've taken lots of steps, basically, is what you're saying. So I think a lot of elements have changed, but it's all been sustainable changes. I haven't gone in and changed everything at once. First, I built my program. Second, I shifted my nutrition around, and I've made adjustments to my plan as I've gone on. Like, I've raced and I think, okay, where could I improve from that race? All right. And I make that change, and then I continue along that trajectory. And the same thing's going to happen when I race Perth in 5-6 weeks, right? I'm going to make adjustments based off that race. But between now and then, I'm going to focus on what I've just learned from my last 2 races. So I think it's understanding that training and your body and your fitness and everything is just a continually evolving ecosystem that needs constant attention. You can't just set and forget. You have to continually pay attention and evolve with things as they go. I think that's really important. Like, a prime example of that is when the weather starts to get hotter, you have to have more fluids. You have to drink a little more because it's hotter. You're going to be expending more energy on a regular basis, just living. I think that's important. But to wrap this up, I am just over the moon with the support that I've seen from you guys. Like, it's hard. Sometimes I struggle to think that people care. And like, I've said that I'm going sub 60 enough for me to be like, people don't want to hear it anymore. But I think the fact that it was so hard to get and I finally got it with the support of all you guys meant the absolute fucking world. Like, if I had got it when I said I was going to get it like 2 years ago, wouldn't have meant shit. But the fact that I've gone through all the stuff I've gone through and stuck it out and kept showing up, kept training, kept changing, kept adapting, kept growing, and finally got it, it means the fucking world. So I'm over the moon. I'm so happy, and I love you guys. Please listen, like the podcast episode, leave a comment if you can. If you're interested in like coaching or anything like that, message me on Instagram. If you have questions about your training, message me. I tend to get back to people as much as I can if I see it. But that's it. See you guys next time.